Hey guys, I wanted to record a video showing some of the updates we've made and go through the trial creation process and then discuss the mathematics behind the outputs of a trial. So let's go ahead and create a new trial. You can see we're in the Luna Nova Oncology test account. I'm just going to call this trial 1. And now I'm going to be able to configure a country and depots. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new central depot. Just going to call this US depot. We'll go down to the US. And then I'm going to configure the countries for my trial. We'll put in the US here. And then we'll do Uruguay as well. So I'll select the US depot that I configured, and then I'll go ahead and create a US local depot. I'll just call this the NYC depot. And of course, this will be set to the United States. And we'll say the lead time is around 10 days. I'll say I have 10 sites participating from the United States in this study. And we'll say the lead time is, I don't know, we'll do 5 days again. Now let's go ahead and configure Uruguay. We'll select the US Central Depot. And then we'll just call this Uruguay Local Depot 1. We'll configure this to be 4 weeks. And then let's go ahead and add another one in Uruguay. So I'll call this UR Local Depot 2. And let's say this is 5 weeks. So essentially what I'm saying here is in Uruguay, I have 2 local depots. They have different sites, they have different lead times, and then I configure my sites as well. So I'll say I have 5 sites participating from Uruguay in the study, and the lead time from both of those local depots to the sites is 1 week. This is all really important for the math that will be outputted at the end of the trial configuration process. So now we'll go ahead and configure some dates in our study. So the first patient in the United States, we'll say is, let's do December 1st, 2026. And then the last patient in, we'll do January 1st, 2028. And then we'll say we have 100 patients for Uruguay. Maybe we'll have a little bit fewer patients here. And we can make this a little bit different as well. So I'll say January 1st. And then for Uruguay, we'll make the trial duration a little bit longer, the January 1st, 2030. So from a math perspective, the duration of the total trial will be from December 1st to 2030. And you'll see that in terms of the number of shipments and the number of kits needed. So now we go ahead and configure our kit. This trial, we'll go ahead and configure an active and a placebo kit. This is really important because it determines how long the kits are good for, and then, as well as anything else in terms of pricing and so on and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and say there's 100 tablets in each kit here. It's got a lot. Maybe we'll do 10 actually instead. And the expiry time, we'll say is 6 months. I'll go ahead and configure my placebo kit. And as you guys are aware, we're still in our beta. So again, we want feedback on the UI UX. Say the placebo kit is good for 2 months. Make this a little bit different. And we'll say that there's 5 tablets here. And we'll say it's $10 for each of these. All right. So now moving on to the label groups. I'll go ahead and use single label management. Just call this worldwide. This is relatively straightforward. And then now we configure our treatment arms. So this is taking each kit and figuring out the percentage of patients assigned to each kit, as well as how long each patient will be basically enrolled in the study and the number of kits they need. So again, we'll call this the active treatment arm. We'll make this 50%. We'll say that patients have 10 visits. They'll take 1 kit per visit. And let's say they're going to come, I don't know, let's do 50 days. And I'll say active. And then I need to specify my placebo treatment arm. Specify this to be 50%. And we'll give the same 10, 1. So now we've configured our treatment arms and linked both of our kits. Our production lead time, we'll say, is 3 weeks. And then we'll say our production frequency is not required for this scenario, and you can see we null it out. I need to specify a time unit. We'll say our manufacturing start date, let's do the 24th, sometime maybe in January here, or December, that's fine. And then now when I configure my custom lots, so this is new from the previous recording, I believe. So if you have lots that are defined by your CMO, this is where you'd input them. Of course, we're going to have a Excel load functionality as well. But just for the sake of this demo, we'll go ahead and put 1 lot configuration. Actually, I'll do 2 because we have 2 different kit types. So you can see I put in the quantity of the kits. This is really important because this defines the amount of risk that may or may not exist if you have a pre-existing lot configuration with your CMO. So this is, again, really important. We'll talk a little bit more about it in a second. So now I've configured my lots, and we'll configure our overage percentage and our seed amount. So we'll seed the sites with 10 kits each. So whether you have custom lots or not, Prognosis is going to generate a recommended schedule using our algorithm. Go ahead and see the outputs of that. So now we're on the analytics screen. You can see the summary. You can see the total number of runs. In this case, our active kit was 13, and our placebo kit is 37, and that's because basically the amount of time that the placebo kit is good for is shorter, so we need more runs. There's additional math that kind of goes into it. We'll discuss that in a second. And then you can kind of see the other inputs here. I'm going to go ahead and go to the production tab. I think this is going to highlight it a little bit more clearly. So you can see our fixed custom schedule. This is all fixed because it's based on the number of, basically based on the number of kits that you are producing. And then it's taking in the overage and the forecasted amount. You can see here we do have risk. Basically, we're short a significant amount. Again, you can basically see the math behind why that is. And then here, what's happening is for the Prognosis recommended runs, we're basically taking a standard bell curve. This is new as well. We used to have all of the numbers and patients distributed linearly, but we have a standard bell curve now applied to each kit. So the number of patients assigned to each kit in the treatment arm, as well as the outputs such as the produced, dispensed, the overage, and the forecast. So that's a little bit clearer if I drill down by kit type. So you can see in this scenario, obviously we have the 1 fixed custom schedule. So that's just showing what has already been accounted for based on your AMO or your internal team. But what Prognosis is recommending is a ship date and a quantity kind of dispensed based on this amount. You can see here we have a standard bell curve that basically assumes that the vast majority of patients are going to show up in the middle of the trial. This will be configurable, but this is a bit of a more realistic approach than we had earlier with the linear solution. So let's just hover over the math here. You can see this run in 2028 for our active kit. Prognosis basically saying, hey, given the overage percentage, which we specified of 10%, and the total dispensed kits of 120. We're basically forecasting 132 kits. And then if I hover over the dispense, you can see kind of why we spit out this number. We basically are saying we have 9 patients in this run, or we're expecting to have 9 patients in this run. Basically need around 13 hits, and 13 times 9 is around 120. Obviously, these are forecasts, right? So we'll kind of round to the nearest whole number. But again, this is essentially the prognosis recommendation. And you can see this, right, for the placebo kit, since we have less patients, you can see the outputs are a little bit smaller, right? So we only really have like 3 patients in the center of the curve. And then, of course, I can configure my sites. I can see my patients. And then my lead times, I can see total number of runs broken down by kit type. So you can see all of the depots here. Or there's some kind of CSS and things that we're still working on. You can see basically based on the lead times, the production time, and the active kit duration for this particular scenario, you can see that we are recommending a ship date of April 5th. We'll see on April 28th. So obviously, this is still very much a work in progress. We're getting really good feedback from our beta users. Really kind of excited about what we've built so far. I think the folks who've been using the product have all thoroughly enjoyed it. We're seeing really positive results. Our entire goal is for folks to be able to plan a trial in under 10 minutes, and people have been able to do that thus far. So those of you guys who would like access the beta tools, certainly let me know. Making more and more improvements. I think we're going to publish our roadmap as well pretty shortly. So definitely, curious to see what is important for you all, but wanted to just provide an update of what we've been doing so far. Nothing really too much has changed for the drug substances. I think we discussed that a little bit earlier. So I will hold on that. If folks want another video, we certainly will record one. But yeah, looking forward to feedback and update you guys in probably the next week or so on additional changes. But really excited about what we're doing so far, and it's really exciting to see people already start to get value from the tool. Thanks, everybody.